Hi, I'm Deborah Lindquist. I'm an eco clothing designer. I work with organic, sustainable, and recycled materials. As the last event that we did that I did with consumer products, I was showcasing my upcycled denim pieces, and I didn't realize how big of a deal that was actually going to become, because I didn't know at that time that COVID was happening and that I was going to actually have to buy 1,000 pounds of denim in order to make masks out of them. So in the beginning of all of this, there were certain people that were considered to be non-essential. I was one of those people because I'm just a designer, until people found out that, well, you could make masks. So I did. And, between the beginning of COVID and now, I've made thousands of masks. But my first orders from my first people were denim. Even, the entire garment district was closed down, even Goodwill. So I couldn't find used denim. I had to buy it from one of my suppliers. And because I had to buy it from one of my rag house suppliers, I had to buy literally 1,000 pounds. How big is that? I mean, maybe this tall cubed. So at this point I have like 900 pounds of denim to go through, and my dog wants to go outside. Excuse me. Tidy up. So my newest collection is really based on denim for that reason. What I've done with the denim is to take it. These are all legs, by the way, that I had to buy through my supplier. So I've taken them and put them together in ways that make sense to me, in kind of a 70s sort of feeling, in dresses and jackets, mixing colors, mixing, I don't know if they can see, okay, mixing colors together and then accenting them with studs, big studs. I was feeling a little punk rockish, so I decided to stud them with the big punk rock kind of studs. And just to show you one of the masks that was from the kind of the beginning. So this is where it all started, but you can see that it doesn't take very much denim to make a mask. So that's why I'm doing
Deb, I'm wearing your mask that matches your dress.
Oh, look how pretty. And you're matching my dress.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, mixing, I think that tons and tons of product gets dumped into the trash, whether it's fully constructed clothing or whether it's materials that just get dumped from volume production, because there's an overproduction situation in the world of fashion. As an eco designer, I kind of come from the opposite point of view. So I'm always really cognizant of how much materials I'm buying, what I'm going to use it for. This is the first time that I've had such an abundance of it that I think I need to come up with an entirely new project, like teach classes on denim construction. And that might happen. But meanwhile, I've been mixing these things up with some of the other things that I do all the time, like turn the camera to just point here. Like with my cashmere pieces, I think, okay, you wear jeans with sweaters, you wear jeans with different things, mixing it with my cashmere, and then also mixing it with, dead stock fabrics, like what I have on and what Allison was wearing in the mask. Dead stock fabrics, in case you don't know what those are leftover production rolls from volume production. So I'm really in this process of just rescuing fabrics, and then we're doing my best to be a zero waste company. Many fashion design houses are trying to figure out how to become less wasteful, because it's a real problem in the industry. And so in a way, it's easier for me because I'm small to begin with anyway. I buy less material. I know what I'm going to use it for. Hopefully I don't have a lot of stuff left over. And if I do have it left over, then I use it for, like a mask that she's wearing, or, maybe I'm making a blouse and I take that blouse fabric and then I just sort of mix it in with, everything else. Like here's an example over here. You're in my studio. So here's one of my cashmere sweaters that I'm really well known for. If there's anything that made me famous, it was cashmere, because Sharon Stone started to wear it. I had celebrities all over Hollywood that were wearing my stuff. And then also I was featured in magazines all over the world, because eco was something new in 2004 when I got started. And because I was doing something that was more couture, then I got a lot of attention for that. So this is one of my dead stock dresses that I just threw one of my sweaters over. Hold on, coming back. And last year when lady blouses were really popular, you know, like this ladylike kind of 70s thing that then nobody wore because we all decided to wear sweats. I'm bringing that I'm bringing that back and layering it underneath one of my cashmere sweaters. So I've done a group of kind of happy sweaters because I feel like we need to be a little happier about life here, and we've been stuck inside, and let's just, if we're going to go out, put something on that, you know, has some sort of happy feeling. Flowers. This is the exact dress that I'm wearing, but layered with a little cashmere cardigan. And then because I work with also some really special fabrics like saris and kimonos and things like that, sometimes I have really small pieces left. Maybe because my parents grew up in the Depression, or were, you know, they were farmers during the Depression. We always saved things. So I guess I've gotten that saving bug too. And this beautiful little thing that isn't very big is made of kimono fabric. It's one of my masks. So I really kind of, you know, always think about zero waste. I do everything, you know, with local production and hand cut all my, you know, all my pieces and produce them in-house, or with small contractors also. So I know I kind of went through that fast. Is there anything else that anybody would like to see up close or have any questions?
Glasgow asked, is this your first denim collection? Love the Charlotte beaded denim jacket.
Oh, thank you. It's actually my second collection because I was starting it last year, but I was kind of dabbling around in it, just taking some jeans that I had. I was using Levi 501, slashing them up, beating them, and I started there. But then when I ended up with this endless stash of denim, it's really become a bigger deal. And it's something that I'm actually still working on. So I think, you know, home collection, it could be pillows even, or a tote bag that we can wash. Because all of those tote bags that we use to buy groceries with, it's not so great for washing. So I'm going to be doing, I'm working on a tote bag out of denim too.
Another question, with more manufacturers using liability fabrics from past seasons due to fabric mills closings, has that affected the amount of repurposed fabric you can purchase?
Not exactly, because there's been so much of it. That's the dead stock fabric thing. I like that a little bit. That's the dead stock fabric part of it. What happens is that there's a certain amount of fabric left over. So maybe I find something that's a 20-yard rolls or 40-yard rolls or something like that. So it's still a small production for someone who's bigger. For me, it might be just fine that I'm just doing, you know, that amount of fabric is actually fine for me. There is a warehouse that I deal with downtown that is full of millions of yards of fabric. So I don't see that running out anytime soon. I have always used dead stock fabric just because I'm an indie designer. I always wanted to find something that was unique or unusual. And so I've always bought fabric like that from, you know, jobbers and suppliers. I don't want to be volume really. So, you know, back when I was starting to do that, it was just kind of a fringe thing. Now it's really a thing. And I know that more designers are looking at using fabrics like that too. Did that answer your question?
She said thank you.
Okay.
If anybody else has any other questions, you can always unmute yourself as well, or I can read from the chat. Either works. And like Deborah said, if you would like to see anything close up, we can do that as well.
Mm-hmm. So recently, in the past couple of months, I've been jumping on to style photo shoots for my friend's ethical fashion magazine called Coco Eco. I worked with Lou Parker from KTLA TV. She is one of the anchors there, and we did a whole animal kind of group with actually this blouse. So getting some you know, just local celebrities, and then And what?
Gabriella Reese.
Oh yeah, Gabby Reese. We just shot her a few days ago, and that's pretty exciting. Her husband actually came up with a plant-based protein that's based on hemp. So this was kind of a really uniquely perfect outfit for her. This is made of hemp with cotton. We are doing athletic wear on her, obviously, because she's a professional athlete. But this is the dress. It's made of hemp and cotton and spandex. I happen to love hemp a lot. I use it for wedding dresses, and I use it for, more basic dresses. Here's another. I was really in this punk rock thing. I started designing in the 80s on my own, and I happen to really love the East Village. And like, does it hurt to put a safety pin in your face? I don't know. But I was really inspired by those people, and stitched on these little kind of punk rock details on this jacket that I paired with the hemp and silk dress. Hemp is also, I think about the Earth's 4 elements a lot because, I want clean water, I want clean air, I want healthy soil so that we can grow healthy food. Fire is another one of the elements. Of course, we need fire for different things. Hopefully not wildfires like we've had so much of. But hemp is one of those plants that helps to heal Earth, and it helps to heal the soil because of the nutrients in the plant itself. And for that reason, I've always loved to work with hemp because it's one of those perfectly sustainable fabrics that works so nicely for me for like upscale merchandise, wedding dresses, but then, day wear too, like the thing that we shot on Gabby. And the athletic wear, that's another little thing. So there are a few different things that I do. Here's Green Queen is my nickname, and I created a line around that nickname. So it's really an active wear and basic line. In the beginning, I thought, okay, well, I can make some t-shirts out of, in beautiful fabrics like organic cotton and modal, and that'll be nice because we can wear those with some of my more special pieces. But as it turned out, people wanted me to do really complicated stuff. So it's a little hard to show you, in a garment. This kind of technique that I do, but this is a bodysuit. So, health and well-being is another thing that we have to consider now that we've been kind of locked up, and we have to figure out, well, how do we do our classes anymore? We can't go to the gym. Maybe we can do it all on Zoom, or we take a yoga class on Zoom or something. So why not just dress up a little bit and have some fun with it? This is a crocheted sleeve on a bodysuit. I do these in cat suits too. And then crocheted in the back. So it's a basic piece that I just made a whole lot more complicated by doing something that I think is really simple. Other people think it's really complicated, but it seems to really work, and gotten a lot of press on that recently. Also in the beginning of COVID, I had an article that was written for the New York Times, which was pretty great. And, the interest was, what are designers doing to survive in this new environment? And so many of us have, segued into something new, but also found a whole new pathway to follow, which includes me as well, in this whole denim thing that I'm doing. I know that that's going to lead me in other places. I'm actually working to put some classes together to teach skills to students or to, anybody who wants to, learn from me. I've worked with interns all over the world for many years. That's not possible now because of travel, but it's also a way for me to even work with interns, virtually, and teach them something about what I do. Anything else? I know I'm kind of throwing a lot out at you.
No, thank you so much, Deborah. This is great.
I have a question. What is the name of the denim line? I'm just putting up a post on social.
Well, it's really my own name, but I nicknamed it Out of the Blue because, of the indigo part of it. And also, sometimes ideas just come out of the blue. So that's what I've That's what I've done. Do you want to? I'm going to let my dog in one more time.
She's wearing a sweater.
Come on, she's wearing a sweater. And I do dog sweaters. You want to see? There she is. She's cold. There's Heidi.
Wait,
that's
do it
adorable.
again.
Do
Do it again. I want to take a picture, Deb. Bring her
Oh,
back.
come here. Heidi, come. Here, Heidi. Want to say hi? Say, I was just rolling around in some leaves.
High fashion dog.
Accessories, hats,
Mhm.
scarves.
Oh, that's so
Oh,
great.
and then cashmere has been, like I said, one of my mainstays for many years. Since 2004. Fingerless gloves and hats and mittens and things like that, including dog sweaters, of course, because they get cold, especially when you live in California and we just don't know how cold it really is. Sorry, I'm flashing you.
Deborah Lindquist.
Here's my my ongoing love affair with things that are punk rock emojis, which I thought would be really cute if I put a safety pin in the face and a mohawk. So there's some of my fingerless gloves.
And where can you purchase?
You have to type.
Where can you purchase these items?
You can purchase them on my website, deboralindquist.com. And I do sell to some retailers too. A few that are surviving through this. New York, I just shipped a big order to New York yesterday. That was cashmere. With people having to eat outside too in colder climates, it becomes even more of a fashion thing. It's like, all right, well, now I need a scarf. I need a hat. Let me find a scarf for you. Do I have them? Oh, I don't. They're in back of you, John. No, I can't get them.
Deborah, really quick, somebody asked, what fabrics will you be using for winter face masks? Winter face masks.
I'm thinking flannel. I have some plaid flannel that's pretty cool. I actually did some punk rock kind of masks. Here, stand up for a second. Let me grab these. Well, here's one. This is one of my wedding headpieces, but I also wanted to make party masks because can we have a little fun? I don't know. So this was some leftover stuff from an underwater photo shoot I was doing this year, and then here's one of the scarves with kisses. So scarves and fingerless gloves are kind of key elements, I think, accessory-wise for the winter, especially even in places like this, like California, where we just get cold easily. I mean, I know I do. And if you have to eat outside, then you have to have something on to keep you a little bit warmer. The denim, I'm still using denim for masks. I know that there are different weights. When I bought this whole, ton of denim, I find the lightest weight ones, because it's a mixed bale. I can find lighter weight ones to make masks out of. And then I do appliques of different kinds. This is a hemp applique. And they're custom made too. So, with my stores, or if there's an event, I can do specific, appliques for that. Or if there's some sort of theme that press has and wants a certain theme, I can always create a special applique for it. And it's not really a problem because I do everything in house anyway. So, all I have to do is draw it and cut it and sew it on. There is one of the things that I've been doing also with this active group and some, kind of floaty pieces that are, things that I find that are dead stock is some underwater campaigns. I made a dress out of plastic bags, plastic trash bags, some of the cute plastic potty bags that my dog has in pink and blue and green, along with some straws and flatware that were plastic. and did a underwater campaign for a group called Colossal that was trying to call, just kind of draw attention to the amount of plastics that we have in the environment and in the water supply. So those were a campaign that were, it was on Colossal and on Instagram, but it's also going to be in a magazine from the UK coming up here in the next few days. You're kind of losing me here, babe. Thank you.
So,
So, it's all about health and well-being, really, is what my line is all about. I want to take care of the, fresh water, fresh air, fresh, land, celebrate fire when it is something that's really good. I have a friend who does fire dancing and, fire hoop jumping and stuff like that. We're doing a little project together. And try to create some dialogue with art and make it interesting and beautiful. And, sometimes I don't think that anybody wants to feel like they're doing the wrong thing with all these plastic bags that we have and all the takeout containers. I mean, we have a glut of stuff that we have to deal with. And, it's not up to me to say, okay, everybody's doing the wrong thing here. I just try to make art out of it, do, just help do some beautiful photographs and allow people to see, okay, we really need the health and well-being of our environment in order to be healthy people. And while we do that, we may as well support, local designers who are working ethically like me. I mean, there's a few of us that I still know. I mean, a lot of new people are coming up and a lot of the bigger companies are making changes, which, we've already implemented for many years. So.
Deborah, I know you talked a little bit about when you got started, but can you talk a little bit about how you got started and just your background a bit?
Yeah, I mean, I started sewing when I was really little. I decided at 5 that I wanted to learn how to sew. So mostly sewed for my dolls at that time. And then I started making my own clothing. Growing up on a farm, I didn't really realize that there was some, and there was a profession that was called fashion design. But as I, was deciding on colleges and everything, I decided I wanted to study design, fashion design. And I ended up at Parsons School of Design in New York City, where, I did a lot of study, started working for different companies in the garment district for a few years before I launched my own line in 1983. So I was only 26 then, like kind of foolish young woman thinking that, oh yeah, I'll just do this business, it'll be fine. And in many ways it was. I was written up right away in Women's Wear Daily as someone to watch. I was designing accessories. And as time went on, what my kind of my core values and my kind of sensibility about where things come from were from a farm to table existence, where I came from. So when I was looking for materials, I was also looking for something that was recycled from the get-go, or something that was, like cast off. I call it reincarnated. I take something that somebody wanted to get rid of, I reincarnate it into a new item. And that was kind of my focus from the very beginning, not exactly knowing why I was doing that, but just that it was my sensibility of design. And in the 80s, people were dressing up a lot. There was shoulder pads and there was big hair and big shoulders. I still have a tendency to draw my croquis with bigger shoulders than they should have when I'm doing sketches for that reason. But, launching a line in New York City, like I did at that time, was actually a very good time to get started because the economy was good. There are a lot of really cool stores. The buyers and the owners of the stores really wanted to buy unique things from indie designers, and we were really supported back then. So it was very exciting. I got started fast and furiously, and pretty soon I was selling all over the world. I decided to move to California in 1989. And at that time I was still doing belts, but I had the misfortune of actually showing them to a or it was my choice, I thought, well, maybe I'll work for someone else. And I showed them to a brand who loved them. They said, they loved me, they said, but this was LA. So, and I didn't realize, I guess at the time is, yes, I love you. Let's do lunch. They knocked me off and then did a very bad job, which forced me into going to clothing. And because I realized that once they did this really bad job of the accessories that I was doing, that nobody would want to buy them from me anyway, because they fell apart. Not mine, but theirs. So that's really how I got involved in fashion design and in vintage fabrics. I was living in Topanga Canyon, and there was this really cool store called Hidden Treasures that was right next to this this little space that I had taken to work out of. So all I had to do was walk next door, look at all the vintage
Still there,
fabrics.
Deb.
I know he is.
Still there. It's such a great shop.
Isn't it? Yes.
Yeah.
I was so lucky. All I had to do was just walk next door and just grab fabric. It's like, okay, I got the first pick. People would always say, do you go to the Rose Bowl? Where do you go? I said, I go next door. I'm sorry. But that's really how, you know, that all started with the vintage. I was making jackets in the 80s. In the 90s, everybody was wearing jackets. Then, you know, that kind of stopped and people were wearing more sweaters, I guess. And that's when, you know, my whole sweater thing came in. And then there are bustiers. I used to design costumes for the Pussycat Dolls when they were a burlesque troupe. And a lot of celebrities, Pink, oh gosh, Christina Aguilera, let's see, Charlize Theron, who else? I always forget these names when they're really, when I should really not forget them. They are on my press page, though, on my website. So I've had a lot of celebs in a lot of my things over time.
Do you have a bustier?
I do not have a bustier. Lou Parker is actually wearing a bustier in this feature. I don't think I have any hanging
Liberty
right there.
Chan warrior.
Hmm?
Liberty Chan.
Oh, and Liberty Chan, who is our meteorologist on KTLA, is doing yoga in my yoga cat suits. You can see those on my Instagram feed.
Does anybody else have any more questions? Feel free to use the chat or unmute yourselves on the bottom left. We have a few more minutes if you have any more questions.
I was just curious because everything is so distinctive. Is there any particular line that in a particular time frame that you ever want to promote or show people versus, you know, things that are just kind of all over the place?
Okay, let me see if I understand your question. Well, I guess, you know, that there are categories of fabric. So I have been kind of showing you through categories of fabric where,
Right.
you know, how I'm kind of doing the no waste kind of process with my cashmere, making a sweater and then making a scarf and then making a fingerless glove and making a dog sweater. And that's kind of my thing because I don't want to throw anything away. The denim is actually the same way. And I understand what you're saying. It can look like it's a bit all over the place, but I think that's actually how we dress. You know, we'll take a pair of jeans and put on a cute sweater. We'll put on a cute top. What I'm doing is actually making ethical, you know, helping to make ethical choices when it comes to putting yourself together. And I know that a lot of us have felt like, okay, well, for the last 8 months, I've been wearing sweats. But I know for me, I've been a little bored with that. And I don't always get dressed up to go to the post office, which is kind of where I go. I'm working here and then I go to ship packages. But I am trying to make a little bit more of an effort to looking a little bit more pulled together. And then I have, you know, I've been doing Zoom workouts in my backyard. So I kind of don't even have to get dressed up to go to the gym because I'm just back there. But I think it's all about, you know, what makes us happy. You know, what makes me happy is making beautiful clothes and making women look beautiful. I do a few men's things too, t-shirts and so on. But I think that any of my pieces are rather timeless and can be transitioned for different kinds of events as well. I mean, some of the more basic pieces can actually go into evening. Does that answer your question?
Sort of, but I was wondering if you were, because when I write about stuff, I usually zero in on a specific item and then make sure that they know, go to the website, check out
Right.
everything. But like I'm looking at the jacket you're wearing, and it's so incredibly interesting and cool.
It's cute. Thanks.
So I love it. I love it. So I was just curious as to, you know, if I were to ask you for artwork, you'd give me a selection probably of the denim line, and then
Yes.
I could just pick from that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because it becomes variations on a theme. This was probably one of the first jackets that I made, and I made it out of my boyfriend who was helping me here with the phone. I made it out of his jeans because he didn't want these anymore. I'm like, all right, let me try this. You know, I have puffy sleeves, kind of 70s in shape. I'm having a nostalgic, you know, flashback to the 70s, doing, you know, flared pants with high waists and so on, the puffy sleeves of the blouses. So it all kind of fits into that 70s theme. But, you know, the jackets are variations on this very, very basic theme that this is kind of like the first one. So when I've added something to it, like studs or buttons or whatever it is, it's still coming from that same basic thing. I'm just adding to it. It's like embellishing a basic. Who do you write for?
I write for New York Lifestyles magazine. So
Great.
I every month I have like 8 or 9 different things that I go to, and there's only a single fashion thing. There's only a single, you know, home item or something like that.
Right.
Except at Christmas when, you know, all bets are off. So,
Sure.
and I'm really impressed with how, you know, interesting and outside the box you think, and yet couture, you know, is not off the table either. So.
Well, I think they're all very wearable, even though, you know, I know I have a certain design sensibility. I like things to fit. I like things to be flattering. I've actually found that I have a talent for alterations, which is interesting. So I've been working with so many different bodies and women for their wedding dresses and so on, that I kind of start to think of, you know, they're just beyond my typical kinds of fit, just body types that I can dress in really interesting and beautiful ways. Because everybody has a feature that they should play up. You know, maybe you've got really great legs, maybe your shoulders are beautiful, whatever it is, you know, find it and showcase it and make it beautiful. I can help you do that. New Yorkers are some of my favorite people. I mean, I miss New York. My store in Long Island is one of my best. It's Shag out in Roslyn, and they've been cashmere. They've been my cashmere people for years and years and years, probably 15 years. We've been doing cashmere sweaters. I love going to meet some of these people doing trunk shows, because then I get to meet all my fans who are so enthusiastic and so wonderful. It's like, oh yeah, I bought your first sweater that you ever did. It's really nice because I try to make it so that it's not a faddish item, but rather something that's actually, you know, an artistic kind of basic is maybe the right term.
Well, that certainly comes across, and I'm looking at the things behind you, and I want to run up and touch them.
Touch them, I know. Is there anything you want to see closer? I could take something down.
Yeah, we have about 5 more minutes.
Okay. Well, you can get a closer look on my website. Just, you know, let's talk, and I can send you photos.
Yes, you held up one sweater that I have to have, so that's
okay. Yours. Getting cold there, right?
It is, and it's kind of a cold, muggy day.
Do we have any last questions? It's about 3 minutes before our next one officially starts.
I would still love it.
Okay, well, thank you all so much. Thank you so much,
you.
Deborah.
I may have to,
This is great. I will send you your product showcase recording, and if anybody else in this chat would like to go to the next, we have 2 more today. The Zoom links are on the website. And thank you for being here.
All right. Thanks so much, guys.
Meredith
All right.
in Glasgow said thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you from Fashion
Yeah, we
Digest.
rented a house somewhere at the top of Meridian, up in that neighborhood. Over
Great.
near
Thanks,
15.
Deborah.
All right. Thank you, Lily.
Bye.
Yeah, I don't.